Opening an initial invitation. Life is made of encounters. Every step you take, every turn in your path, connects you with people who, often without realizing it, quietly shape the way you think, feel, and respond to the world. Some of these connections last only moments, others remain for years, and a few become the invisible architects of your very identity. Today, I invite you to pause and reflect with me on a principle that is both metaphysical and quantum. Who you are, at the core, is profoundly influenced by the 5 closest friends in your life. This is not just a poetic metaphor about social influence. It is a living law, vibrating in the unseen fields that surround and interact with you every single day. Before we dive deeper into this exploration, I ask you for something simple yet powerful. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. It may appear to be only a digital gesture, a casual click of a button, but in truth, it is far more than that. When you choose to engage, you are declaring, energetically and consciously, your intention to expand awareness. You are opening a space for the quantum field around you to respond to that decision. This small act resonates beyond the screen, creating ripples that not only bring you closer to this content, but also echo outward, touching other lives with the same frequency of growth and awakening. Now, picture this. Every friendship you nurture is like a string of an instrument, vibrating in resonance with your own inner frequency. If those strings are tuned in harmony, your life becomes a song filled with melody, clarity, and flow. But if they are out of tune, your own rhythm becomes unstable, and your personal energy is pulled into disharmony. Just as quantum physics reveals that particles influence one another, even at great distances, our closest bonds reverberate through us, shifting not only our energy but also the choices we make, the emotions we hold, and even the trajectory of our destiny. This is not ordinary knowledge. It is a reminder that you are not an isolated being moving alone through life. You are a field, an energetic note woven into a greater universal symphony. And once you begin to recognize this, you see yourself not merely as someone who chooses friends, but also as someone chosen by the invisible field that mirrors back who you already are. Your inner circle is, in reality, a living reflection of your current state of consciousness. Throughout this journey, I will guide you to see more clearly how quantum physics gives structure and explanation to what metaphysics has taught for centuries. You inevitably become a reflection of the people you spend the most time with. Together, we will go beyond surface appearances and recognize that each friendship is a channel, transmitting energy, beliefs, and subtle vibrations directly into your field, whether or not you give permission. And I want you to hold this truth close. This video is not just another piece of content to watch and forget. It is an invitation, a threshold into awakening. If you remain with me until the end, you will leave with not only understanding, but also with practical tools to evaluate, reframe, and if necessary, transform the closest connections in your life. Because at the deepest level, every friendship is a choice for the future, and every future begins with what you decide to vibrate in this very moment. Philosophical introduction to the theme. Since ancient times, philosophers, sages, and spiritual teachers have pointed toward the invisible force that binds human beings together. They taught that we are shaped not only by our own actions or thoughts, but also by the energetic fields of those who walk beside us. What was once pure intuition has now found confirmation through quantum physics. Our energy fields do not exist in isolation. They weave together, generating resonances that shape how we experience reality itself. When you spend time with someone each day, you are not simply exchanging words, sharing laughter, or solving problems together. On a deeper level, you're sharing vibration. Your mirror neurons begin to echo the other's behavior, and your emotional frequency gradually synchronizes with theirs. Without noticing, you step into a silent choreography of energy. This dance can lift you to higher states of clarity and vitality, or it can hold you captive in patterns you never consciously chose. Metaphysics has long taught us that like attracts like. Quantum science explains the mechanism behind this truth. Particles, when close enough, naturally become correlated, entering states of coherence. It is as if the universe itself is whispering a constant reminder. You are not an isolated island. You are a wave in a vast ocean of waves, and those closest to you have the power either to amplify your vibration or to diminish it. You may have already felt this in your own life. When you are near someone light-hearted, inspired, and open, your mind clears, your breath deepens, and your heart naturally expands. But when you spend time with someone negative, closed off, or endlessly complaining, you can almost feel your energy draining, your mood heavying, your body tightening. This is not just in your head. It is physical, measurable, an exchange of subtle fields that modern science now names quantum coherence and decoherence. And so, the essential question arises: who are the 5 closest people walking beside you right now? Because whether you are aware of it or not, their habits, their beliefs, and their emotional states are constantly molding your inner world. If you want to predict the quality of your life 5 years from now, simply look closely at the friends and companions who share your most intimate space today. The reflection you see in them is, in large part, the reflection of what you are becoming. But I don't want you to hear this with fear. I want you to hear it with awareness. Because if it is true that we absorb the energy of those around us, it is equally true that we hold the power to choose, consciously and deliberately, who we allow to remain close. The invitation here is not exclusion, but clarity. Friendships are not merely companionship. They are portals of transformation. And every time you open or close such a portal, you are choosing the version of yourself that will blossom into your tomorrow. The quantum physics perspective. When we bring quantum physics into this conversation, the goal is not to force your social life into the framework of cold equations. Instead, it is about using the principles that describe the microcosm as a lens to shed light, by analogy and inspiration, on the macrocosm of human experience. Quantum theory speaks of superposition, the observer effect, entanglement, coherence, and decoherence. It is not a literal one-to-one translation. It is a metaphorical lens. Through that lens, we discover that systems in interaction generate subtle correlations, and that the quality of the environment directly shapes the final state of the system. In human terms, we call this coexistence, culture, and the habits we unconsciously share. Take entanglement, for example. In physics, it describes how two particles that once interacted continue to show correlations, even when separated by vast distances. On the human level, think about what happens when you and a close friend go through intense experiences together. Suddenly, gestures become intuitive. Half-spoken words carry complete meaning, and silence itself begins to communicate. We are not literally entangled in the same way particles are, but the metaphor gives us a language to describe the invisible continuity that lingers between people who share history, trust, and symbolic moments. Those unseen threads silently guide future choices and shape the way we respond to life. Coherence in quantum mechanics refers to the alignment of phases, an order so subtle that it allows the entire system to behave as one unified whole. Decoherence, in contrast, is the disruptive noise that breaks down this order, scattering the system into more classical, fragmented patterns. Put simply, when you are surrounded by 5 grounded, centered friends, your own mental field tends to organize itself. When you are surrounded by 5 chaotic individuals, your attention scatters like dust in the wind. Haven't you noticed how studying next to a disciplined person changes your rhythm? Or how a circle of complaints can drain your energy so deeply that even your sleep feels disturbed? That is the environment at work. The music around you is either tuning your inner melody or throwing it out of key. Resonance is another key principle. Coupled oscillators naturally synchronize. Whether it's a set of metronomes on the same platform or fireflies blinking in unison under the night sky. Within us, this synchronization shows up as entrainment of biological and emotional rhythms. A simple yet powerful example. Spend just 2 minutes breathing rhythmically with a conscious friend before a difficult conversation. You'll feel your body relax, your mind create more space, and your listening deepen. By aligning the rhythm, the meaning of the exchange changes. The conversation flows because the shared field has found coherence. If you want to transform this knowledge into practice, I invite you to try a 7-day micro-experiment. After each interaction with your 5 closest people, pause and ask yourself 3 questions. What was my energy level before and after this meeting? Which thought gained strength from this conversation? What action did I naturally feel drawn to afterward? Use a simple scale from 0 to 10 for both energy and clarity. At the end of the week, notice the patterns. Friends who elevate your energy, broaden your perspective, and inspire consistent action create coherence. Friends who deplete your energy, narrow your vision, and pull you into inertia foster decoherence. With this awareness, you can adjust your presence, set healthier boundaries, and refine your circle. Let me paint you a human scene to ground this even more. During a mentorship program, one brilliant student alternated between weeks of sharp focus and weeks of complete distraction. His talent was not the issue, the environment was. On Tuesdays, he studied with a disciplined, committed group, and his productivity soared. On Thursdays, however, he met with friends who, without intending harm, turned study time into endless distraction. When he restructured his Thursdays to work with a partner who valued depth and consistency, his trajectory shifted dramatically. It wasn't magic, it was context engineering. Sometimes trading noise for the right resonance is the quiet step that unlocks an entirely new future. The metaphysics of human relationships. In metaphysical thought, everything that exists is understood as an expression of a greater field of consciousness. Within this perspective, the bonds we hold with our 5 closest friends are not merely social ties. They are threads woven with the very essence of who we are in the present moment. Each friendship becomes a symbolic mirror, reflecting hidden facets of ourselves and revealing aspects we might not have had the courage to face alone. To look at those who stand beside us is to gaze into an expanded version of our own being. Metaphysical tradition teaches that the human being is a field of energy vibrating in multiple layers, and these layers are in constant dialogue with the energetic fields of others. That is why genuine friendships leave us feeling whole and grounded, while superficial connections leave emptiness and fragmentation behind. Every encounter is an exchange of invisible codes, subtle memories, and resonant frequencies that shape not only the mood of the present moment, but also the trajectory of our life's unfolding. When you connect deeply with someone, you are in fact allowing part of your destiny to be written in harmony with theirs. The sage Hermes Trismegistus, through the Hermetic principle, as above, so below, taught that everything in existence is connected by universal laws. This maxim reminds us that what happens in the microcosm of our friendships mirrors the greater cosmic laws. Just as particles in the universe vibrate in resonance to shape matter, human consciousness in resonance shapes shared realities. In this way, your 5 closest friendships act like planets orbiting around the center of your life, each one exerting a subtle gravitational pull that influences the course of your movement. Let me offer a practical example. Imagine you wish to change a habit, such as taking better care of your health. If your 5 closest friends value healthy eating and consistent exercise, their collective field becomes an invisible support system that lifts you upward. But if those same friends resist change, cling to inertia, or even mock your initiative, their gravitational pull drags you back. The effort no longer belongs only to the individual. It becomes a collective negotiation of energy. That is the metaphysical weight of companionship. From my own experience, I have noticed that every time I consciously adjusted my circle of friends, my life responded with almost immediate shifts. There was a season when I was surrounded by talented individuals, yet most of them lived in a state of constant complaint. Slowly, and without realizing it, I too became more critical and pessimistic. But when I chose to walk beside people who radiated hope, discipline, and quiet determination, my own energy shifted. It was as if the universe had changed the background frequency of the soundtrack to my life. Outwardly, nothing seemed different, but inwardly, everything was transformed. And here lies the essential lesson. Metaphysics reminds us that there are no random encounters. If someone has entered your life and remains among your 5 closest companions, it is because a necessary exchange is taking place. Yet it is also your responsibility to discern when that exchange has completed its cycle. Releasing a friendship is not abandonment. It is the recognition that the frequency of that bond no longer sustains the direction of your soul's purpose. To honor every friendship is wise, but to consciously keep only those relationships that resonate with the life you wish to create, that is true mastery. Thought, emotion, and the influence of friends. The thoughts we entertain each day are not always born from the soil of our individual minds. Very often, they are invisible seeds planted by the people with whom we spend the most time. A repeated idea from a friend, a seemingly casual remark, a worldview shared during an ordinary conversation, all of these slip quietly into the fertile ground of our consciousness. Just as radio waves travel through space and transmit signals, the beliefs of your 5 closest friends vibrate in resonance and inevitably find an echo within your mind. Emotions follow the same current. If your circle radiates joy, confidence, and gratitude, that atmosphere spills over you, saturating your heart with lightness. But if the predominant vibration is fear, insecurity, or resentment, you will, in time, feel the heaviness of that field pressing upon you. Quantum physics frames this with the principle of coherence. Systems in proximity tend to align, and human emotion is no exception. Emotions act as the glue that fastens thought to body, defining the vibrational state in which you live and breathe. Consider a practical example. When you gather with friends who speak of dreams, projects, and possibilities, your brain begins sparking new connections. Your breathing grows fuller, and you leave the encounter energized and expansive. But when you spend time with those who dwell only on problems and criticisms, the opposite occurs. Your body tightens, your mind contracts, and your vital energy diminishes. It is as if every meeting functions as either a charging station or a place of drainage. Recognizing this distinction is crucial if you wish to avoid living on autopilot, carrying burdens that were never truly yours. In metaphysical practice, emotions are understood as fields of information. Each feeling carries a frequency, encoded with messages that ripple through your being. Being close to someone who constantly vibrates anger or pessimism is like tuning into a radio station filled with static. No matter how strong your will, over time, your inner signal weakens. On the other hand, being near those who radiate peace and hope is like tuning into a harmonious melody. Your own field naturally begins to resonate in alignment, and balance becomes effortless. I remember in my own journey a season when I spent time with a group deeply passionate about learning. Every meeting overflowed with philosophical discussions, book exchanges, and enthusiastic curiosity. At the time, I didn't notice how profoundly this was expanding my horizons. Later, when I shifted into an environment where conversation revolved only around complaints and frustrations, I felt my spirit wither. I was the same person, but resonating in different fields. I became almost unrecognizable to myself. That experience taught me that environment doesn't merely influence, it sculpts us. The invitation here is simple yet powerful. Observe, without judgment, the emotions your friends awaken in you. Ask yourself, after a conversation, do I feel lighter or heavier? More inspired or more drained? This practice of mindful self-observation, though subtle, is transformative. It reveals how your thoughts and emotions are being shaped in silence, beneath your awareness. And once you see it clearly, you become the guardian of your own field, choosing with intention the friendships that sustain the life you truly wish to manifest. Guided exercise, recognizing and reorganizing your circle of friends. Close your eyes for a moment and allow yourself to gently bring into view the 5 friends who walk most closely with you today. Don't force images. Just let them arrive naturally, as if you were opening a quiet album of living memories. Notice each face, each gesture, each presence as they appear. Then turn your awareness inward. What sensations arise in your body when you think of each one? Does your heartbeat quicken with warmth, or does it tighten? Does your breath soften, or does it grow shallow? Does your mind expand with clarity, or contract into doubt? This is your first vibrational diagnosis, the very perception that metaphysics invites us to cultivate. Now, imagine that each of these friends is a flame approaching your own. Some flames strengthen your fire, amplifying the brightness you both carry together. Others, even unconsciously, seem to consume oxygen, causing your flame to shrink. Ask yourself, without judgment, which of these people truly nurture your inner spark, and which, perhaps unintentionally, diminish it. There is no right or wrong here, only awareness. You are not condemning anyone. You are simply learning to recognize the invisible effects that each relationship imprints upon your quantum field. Take a deep breath and bring to mind the quantum principle of coherence. Picture your life as a vast field vibrating in delicate harmony, yet also susceptible to external frequencies that can introduce noise. Visualize yourself as a harp. Some people help tune your strings, producing melodies that flow with peace and beauty. Others create dissonance, unsettling the harmony. Allow yourself to feel which strings are in tune and which are out of alignment. Recognition is the first and most essential step in choosing wisely who you allow to play upon your inner music. For the next 7 days, I propose a simple but revealing practice. After each meeting or interaction with your 5 closest friends, pause for a moment before moving on and write down 3 words that best describe how you feel in your energy afterward. Do not analyze immediately, just record. At the end of the week, review what you have written and notice the patterns. Friendships that leave you with words like lightness, inspiration, or clarity point to positive resonance. Those that leave behind words such as heaviness, doubt, or fatigue may be calling for reflection, adjustment, or new boundaries. In metaphysics, the conscious selection of your inner circle is considered an act of self-knowledge. Therefore, once you complete this exercise, sit quietly with yourself and ask, which of these friendships are aligned with the future I wish to manifest? This is not about cutting people off harshly, but about gently repositioning the space they occupy in your life. Some may need to be drawn closer, others kept at more respectful distance. The key is to give priority to those who sustain your expansion, not those who perpetuate your stagnation. Finally, let your heart rest in gratitude for each of the 5. Even the friends who challenge or drain you are showing you something precious about yourself. The universe never wastes encounters. Each one is a teacher in some measure. by acknowledging who walks beside you and how each one resonates within you. You step into the role of the alchemist of your own destiny. You choose, with intention, the melodies you wish to echo in the infinite field of life. And never forget, when you adjust your own frequency, you also become a guiding light of friendship in the journeys of others. The dynamics of the social field and quantum transformations. Just as in quantum physics, where tiny shifts in initial conditions can alter the outcome of an entire experiment, in human life, even small changes within our social circle hold the power to redefine our destiny. The social field is never static. It pulses, evolves, and responds to the conscious choices we make. Every time you choose to draw closer to someone who radiates courage, discipline, and clarity, you are not simply adding a companion. You are adjusting the variables of your own energetic field. That choice silently reshapes the future that unfolds before you. With every cycle of connection, we exchange more than words or experiences. We exchange fields of possibility. Think of your life as a quantum laboratory. You are the primary system, but your 5 closest friends act as observers who influence how your own waves of probability collapse into reality. What they reinforce in you gains momentum and becomes more likely to manifest. What they dismiss, belittle, or ignore gradually loses strength. Your life is revealed as a weaving of your personal choices, with the social reflections surrounding you. So consider this practical example. If your 5 closest friends are entrepreneurs or visionaries, you will inevitably begin to think like a creator of solutions. Your conversations will orbit around opportunities, strategies, and action. You will find yourself scanning the horizon for doors to open. But if that same circle is grounded in frustration, scarcity, and limitation, you may sense your future contracting without even realizing why. The environment does not simply inspire, it instructs. It speaks silently to your subconscious, shaping which futures feel plausible and which seem impossible. Metaphysics reminds us that no bond is ever neutral. Every connection either draws you closer to your essence or quietly distances you from it. There is no such thing as a friendship just to pass the time. Every link generates a field of influence. Picture each friend as a lens through which you see the world. Clear, luminous lenses expand your horizon and reveal new possibilities. Heavy, clouded lenses blur your perception and confine your vision. In this way, the friendships you choose are ultimately the landscapes you will see each day. In my own journey, I noticed that the greatest transformations in my life were always preceded by shifts in my circle of relationships. When I sought greater wisdom, people with depth and insight naturally appeared in my path. When I longed for stability, friends with grounded, steady presence arrived like anchors. These were not coincidences. They were vibrational responses. The universe aligns with the frequency you emit, but it also sends companions to confirm and reinforce that frequency. Your social field is the bridge between intention and tangible reality. This is why, whenever you feel your life has stalled, you must not only look inward, you must also look outward. Ask yourself, do the 5 people closest to me reflect the future I wish to manifest? If the answer is no, then it may be time to reorganize your social field, not with guilt or resentment, but with conscious clarity. Remember, every friendship is a portal, and walking through the right portals can accelerate your journey by years. The power of your transformation often rests, quietly but profoundly, in the hands of those you choose to call your friends. Daily sustenance and application. Maintaining energetic coherence with your 5 closest friends is not a one-time decision, it is a daily practice. Just as the body requires nourishing food to remain strong, your consciousness depends on aligned bonds to truly expand. Each day, the conversations you engage in, the silences you share, and even the smallest gestures exchanged within those friendships either strengthen or weaken your inner field. Sustaining coherence means being present enough to notice, moment by moment, how each interaction is quietly shaping your state of being. One powerful way to sustain this field is by cultivating intentionality in every encounter. Before meeting with a friend, pause and ask yourself, what energy do I want to bring into this conversation? That simple preparation changes everything. Instead of entering on autopilot, you become a conscious channel of vibration. Often, shifting your own inner posture is enough to elevate the collective atmosphere. Quantum physics reminds us that the observer influences the outcome of the experiment. Metaphysics extends that truth, teaching us that a conscious heart can influence the environment itself. Another deeply effective exercise is to create a shared habit with your circle. It could be something as simple as a weekly walk, a reading circle, a moment of mindful silence, or even a group agreement to share one personal victory each day in a message thread. These small but consistent rituals create fields of coherence, acting as energetic anchors. When friends commit to collective positive habits, the shared quantum field stabilizes, giving each individual a solid foundation for growth and expansion. Equally important is developing the discernment of pause. Not every conversation needs to be fueled, and not every energy present in the room needs to be absorbed. Learning to stay silent when the atmosphere turns toward criticism or pessimism is an act of protection and sustenance. In quantum terms, this is like preventing decoherent noise from destabilizing your system. In metaphysical terms, it is closing energetic portals that do not serve your purpose. Daily sustenance requires both active presence and conscious guarding of your field. Let me give you a simple example. I once noticed that a group of close friends used our weekly gathering primarily to complain about work. Rather than distancing myself, I proposed a small shift. Each person would have to share at least one victory from the week before. At first, it felt unfamiliar, but over time the tone transformed. The same group, the same people, but a new field emerged. The energy of complaint gave way to the energy of celebration. This is the power of consistent, intentional practices to change the collective field. And finally, never forget. You are not only receiving influence from your friends, you are also one of the 5 closest companions in someone else's life. Sustaining coherence is both a gift to yourself and a responsibility toward others. By keeping your energy aligned, you become a source of inspiration, steadiness, and courage for those around you. Daily application, therefore, is not just self-care. It is an act of generosity that strengthens not only your own field, but also the living network of relationships in which you exist. Integration: how to consciously redesign your circle of friends. Throughout this journey, you've seen that your 5 closest friends are not simply people who share time with you. They are shaping forces in the architecture of your reality. To integrate this awareness means taking responsibility, observing with clarity, choosing with intention, and consciously redesigning your inner circle. Integration does not require abrupt ruptures or harsh goodbyes. Instead, it calls for subtle, deliberate adjustments that gradually transform the quality of your experience. The first step is recognition. Your social field is a direct reflection of the person you are in the process of becoming. Begin by practicing the exercise of clarity. Take a notebook and write down the names of the 5 friends who are most present in your life right now. Next to each name, jot down the 3 dominant emotions that this person consistently awakens in you. Approach this practice with honesty and compassion. It is not about judgment. It is about understanding the real impact each bond has on your vibrational state. This seemingly simple step opens your eyes to patterns that may have remained hidden, yet they silently determine much of your emotional and energetic climate every single day. From there, make a conscious choice of presence. For those who uplift your energy, expand your perspective, and nurture your growth, draw closer. Offer them more time, attention, and gratitude. These friendships are like streams of clear water, nourishing the soil of your journey. For those who tend to drain your energy, there is no need for sudden disconnection. Instead, adjust the frequency of interaction. Perhaps fewer encounters, perhaps clearer boundaries. By gently reorganizing the intensity of each bond, you reshape your social field without creating unnecessary fractures or resentment. Here we find an essential metaphysical principle. When you shift your own vibration, the fields of others around you often shift as well. Sometimes, by stepping away from patterns of complaint or fear, you unconsciously inspire your friends to rise with you. This process is not about exclusion. It is about resonance. When you elevate your frequency, only those able to sustain that new vibration will remain by your side. Your circle reorganizes naturally, drawing in new connections while refining old ones in alignment with your evolution. Consider a practical example. I once met someone who dreamed of starting a business, but his closest circle resonated mostly with insecurity. Instead of cutting ties, he chose to bring a new energy into the group. In conversations, he stopped feeding the cycle of complaint and began speaking about solutions, opportunities, and action. In just a short time, 2 of his friends began following the same path. The circle wasn't broken, it was transformed. This shows that conscious integration does not always mean exclusion. Often, it means becoming a vibrational leader who changes the tone of the field itself. Finally, remember that redesigning your circle is not a single event. It is an ongoing practice. As you grow, your relationships must grow as well. Some friendships will fulfill their role and gently fade, while others will arrive as new pillars of support and inspiration. Honor each one for the part it plays, but remain attentive to what truly resonates with your present essence. You are not merely surrounded by friends, you are surrounded by possible versions of yourself. Choosing who walks beside you is, in truth, choosing who you are becoming. Closing and final invitation. We arrive now at the end of this journey, but as with every true crossing, the end is never final. It is only the beginning of another level of awareness. Today you've discovered that your 5 closest friends are not simply occasional companions. They are vibrational fields, sculpting the contours of your reality. Through the meeting of metaphysics and quantum physics, we've seen that friendships resemble entangled particles. Their energy does not stop within themselves. It reverberates, weaving together shared destinies and collective pathways. By integrating this knowledge, you now hold a rare and powerful key. The awareness that by choosing your relationships, you are also choosing the version of yourself that you wish to manifest. Each friendship is a portal, each encounter a mirror, and every word exchanged is a wave resonating through the field of your life. And now you know, those portals can open to expansion, those mirrors can illuminate your hidden brilliance, and those waves can build futures aligned with your deepest purpose. This is the strength of conscious discernment. There is no need for hurry or guilt. Every friendship that has passed through your life has been a teacher, carrying lessons necessary for a season. To honor them all is part of wisdom. But from this moment on, you can walk with greater clarity. You can sustain the bonds that uplift you, adjust the ones that restrain you, and create space for new presences to arrive. Remember, there is no vacuum in the universe. When you close a door that no longer resonates, the cosmos itself responds by opening a window that is in harmony with the song of your heart. And here, within Deslumbre do Amanhecer, we continue walking together in this quest for expansion. So, if this content resonated with you, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Understand that this simple gesture is more than digital support. It is a vibrational act. When you click, you send a message into the quantum field. I am ready to expand, and I am ready to share. In doing so, you not only receive more content to nurture your consciousness, but you also help spread this frequency so that other lives may also be transformed. Always remember, you are not alone on this path. Every step you take toward awakening is accompanied by countless other souls who are also choosing light. And when we connect, even across distance, we form a collective field of resonance. Within that field, intentions grow stronger, dreams gain possibility, and purposes find their foundation. We are travelers on the same road, each carrying a flame, yet united by the same radiant dawn. So I close this encounter with an invitation. Look deeply at your 5 closest friends, reorganize your circle with love and awareness, and become yourself a presence of light in someone else's life. For in the end, we are all called to be mirrors for one another. Mirrors that remind us that greatness is never solitary, but always shared. May your life become music, and may your friendships be the finely tuned instruments in the infinite orchestra of the universe. And so, See you in the next video with more information on everything that involves growing, evolving, transforming, and manifesting. See you soon.